Breaking news from before it's news. Trump just turned the tables. Gowdy and Chaffetz are licking their chops. The heat is coming. Obama, Pelosi, Schumer, look out. Let me just fix this. This was a master chess move by Trump. He completely shut down the liberal narrative about Russia and flipped it so Congress can go for full discovery concerning what the FBI, DOJ, Obama, Clintons, and the rest of the shadow government were really involved in prior to the election. He just gave Chaffetz, Gowdy, Jordan, and Nunes what they have wanted ever since Benghazi, the backing of the FBI and the DOJ and full executive branch. I'm not sure what is really going on with Comey right now. He may be part of the plan to bring this all into the open, or maybe he is caught in the middle. He obviously is very concerned that everybody and their brother knows about the highly secretive FISA requests that were pursued by someone to run surveillance on someone in Trump Tower. Comey has issued an internal order to the FBI demanding the IDs of anyone with knowledge of the FISA requests. He is pissed that these secrets are being leaked and that Trump is blowing the lid off all this. And ironically, Trump is using the same argument that the MSM and liberal politicians have been using the last 12 months. Trump says, I read about it in the New York Times and Washington Post, so it must be true, right? Lol. So he sends Huckabee's daughter out on the Sunday morning shows to state that exact point. What's good for the goose must be good for the gander. Somehow, just recently, Chaffetz, Gowdy, and many others are now on board with Trump big time. Now Trump can sit back and play good cop while Congress goes for broke.
He's chairman of the Oversight Committee of Government Reform Committee, too, and he's been in the eye of the storm of all these investigations from the Obama years now into the Trump years. Congressman Jason Chaffetz, welcome back.
Good morning. Good morning.
First off, when the tweets come out on Saturday, what are you thinking?
Wow. You wake up in the morning, you have no idea what's going to happen. So, we're going to look hard at this. Devin Nunes and the House Intelligence Committee will take the lead on this. We'll play a role in the Oversight Committee, but I'm going to go into it eyes wide open. We've had experience. The Obama administration's been notorious on this type of stuff, and we're going to look hard at it.
You're a victim.
Well, yeah, look, let's remember what they did with James Rosen. Let's remember that the IRS did target Americans based on their political beliefs.
He's chairman of the Oversight Committee of Government Reform Committee, too, and he's been in the eye of the storm of all these investigations from the Obama years now into the Trump years. Congressman Jason Chaffetz, welcome back.
Good morning. Good morning.
First off, when the tweets come out on Saturday, what are you thinking?
Wow. You wake up in the morning, you have no idea what's going to happen. So, we're going to look hard at this. Devin Nunes and the House Intelligence Committee will take the lead on this. We'll play a role in the Oversight Committee, but I'm going to go into it eyes wide open. We've had experience. The Obama administration's been notorious on this type of stuff, and we're going to look hard at it.
You're a victim.
Well, yeah, look, let's remember what they did with James Rosen. Let's remember that the IRS did target Americans based on their political beliefs. And in my own personal case, I had more than 40 Secret Service agents illegally tap into my records and dive into my background, and that's according to the Inspector General. So this stuff does happen, and it's not necessarily done the legal, lawful way. And so, yeah, we're going to take a look at it.
And what happened to those agents that did that to you?
Nothing. It was a one-day story, and the national media just kind of pushed it across. I'm the chairman of the Oversight Committee. 40 Secret Service agents dove into my records illegally. Nothing.
Why did they do that to you?
Well, I was fairly critical of the Obama administration, and I'm just saying, look, I don't know what the end result is going to be. Devin Nunes is going to take a hard look at this with the House Intelligence Committee. We'll play a supporting role, but let's see what we're going to find.
Absolutely. And when you look, okay, so the president says, it sounds like I was wiretapped, and you look at the history, and there are reports in the mainstream media about how a criminal complaint was, or a criminal warrant was sought in June. It was denied. Then it became a FISA request, and it was granted. So it looks like the administration was trying to get into the business of investigating Trump before a presidential election, which is unheard of.
Well, the allegation is one of the strongest we've ever seen. Now, following that fact pattern, again, the Intel Committee is going to have to look at that and dive into that. But that paper trail should be, fairly evident. Fairly evident.
But will you, as chairman of oversight, find out if there was indeed a FISA request made in July and refused, and another one in the fall and granted?
Again, House Intel will take the lead on that. We'll play a supporting role, but
they will.
Yeah, somehow between the two of us, we will get to the bottom of this.
All right, what happens if you find out that yes, there were these FISA requests?
Look, I'm not going to presuppose the conclusion of this, or anyway, I've been in this long enough to know that when you come around a corner, you don't necessarily know what you're going to see, so we'll keep our eyes wide open.
There's a report in the New York Times that James Comey wants the Justice Department to come out and say the FBI never wiretapped. Yeah. What do you take from this story? Because it's not a quote, it's according to a senior source that Comey feels that way. It's clearly another leak.
Yeah, I saw it's one of the headlines in the New York Times, and it said an American official. I mean, it couldn't be more broad. I did try to contact the FBI director over the weekend, did not communicate back. I understand that, but I do think I do think it's interesting that the Department of Justice has not officially weighed in on this yet. So it's early Monday morning. We'll see what happens, but
who would? Concessions do that? Because it's Russia involved. And if so, do you go to the deputy who was appointed by Obama?
I don't know. We're not going to have this solved by Wednesday, but we are looking at it.
And since you're in the business of oversight, how about the fact that in the waning days of the Obama administration, it sounds like they changed the NSA rules so that they could take the intel that they had and spread it all over the place, leaving 1 million landmines that are going to be blowing up for the next year to try to destroy Donald Trump.
Well, look, I saw you had Tucker Carlson on earlier. He's exactly right. There are a lot of things that we need to look at. What is the government doing in that regard? What are they doing with facial recognition? What are they doing with tracking your geolocation? These are all things that we have been trying to get answers from the Obama administration on that they would not answer. So we'll continue to. That's what we got to do.
Has the Russian turbulence slowed down the agenda?
No, look, we can walk and chew gum too, and these are very serious allegations. But I see, the Democrats are over there flailing with their heads on fire, and they still can't figure out how they lost the election. But I see no evidence of collusion between the Russians and the Trump campaign. There was some incidental communication or contact, but where's the evidence on that? There's just not. I just don't see it.
Don't you think that if they had information that would tie, Jeff Sessions, there's a picture of him handing getting the envelope full of the 50s with the microfilm, we would have already seen that.
Yeah, they want to play that movie. They just don't have it. And so, but the Intel Committee, the Oversight Committee, we're taking this very seriously, and we will dive into it, and we will look at it and see where it takes us.
Great. All right. Chairman, I'll see you on radio.
Very good.
Okay.
Thanks
so much.
Thanks for
stopping by.
Well,
the fact that it was being done is a story that we should be talking about, George, and all we're asking is that we let Congress do its job. Let's let the House Intelligence Committee review this, investigate it, as they committed to do over the weekend. Look, there have been constant allegations. The hypocrisy on this story is absolutely outrageous.
That from Sunday. Deputy White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders now reinforcing President Trump's call for an investigation into former President Obama and his administration. So where does it go now? House Intelligence Committee member Trey Gowdy is with me. He says it's already happening. And sir, good morning to you. So our viewers know you met with the FBI director last week, correct?
Yes, sir. Thursday, House Intel behind closed doors for several hours, and he stayed later than he was designed to stay to answer more of our questions.
Wow. How much of that can you share with us and our audience now, then?
Exactly what I shared, that he came, that he answered our questions, and that he stayed a good long while. But
so
there's a reason we do it behind closed doors.
I get it. There was no knowledge of what the president tweeted on Saturday morning about the Obama team surveilling Trump Tower.
First I heard it was Saturday morning.
And what did you think when you heard that, sir?
Bill, it's really hard to cross-examine tweets. I need witnesses. I need documents. There are only two ways U.S. citizens' electronic communications can be intercepted. One's Title III, which is a criminal inquiry. The other is FISA, which is an intelligence inquiry. There is no other way for it lawfully to be done. The good news about both of those, Bill, is there's a paper trail. There's an application, there are warrants, all of which can be reviewed. And right now, the executive branch is controlled not by the Obama administration, but by the Trump administration. So whatever information is out there, and there would be a paper trail is now controlled by the executive branch run by Mr. Trump.
We've got reaction on all this. Adam Schiff, first up, a Democrat on that committee. You know, you work with him well. He called the accusation on Sunday destructive. The other word he used was baseless. What does he know?
He doesn't know any more than I know, and I'm sure Adam used to be a federal prosecutor. I'm sure what he meant to say was, we need to interview all of the witnesses, we need to access all of the documents, and we're going to wait to make any conclusions until we have done both of those things. I'm sure that's what he meant to say.
He did not say that, as you know.
No, he did not say that.
Bob Woodward said this on Fox News Sunday about the House's ability to investigate. Watch.
Congress also is not very well equipped to do this. They've had some flops in recent investigations. So the quality of information, of evidence we're liable to get is going to be weak. I have to recall Watergate went on for 2 years and 2 months to get some sort of closure and clarity.
Well, we're not going that far, but what do you think about his comment about the amount of information, the quality of evidence, et cetera?
I think Congress is much better equipped to do investigations than journalists are. We can't rely on anonymous sources. We can't rely on leaked information, classified information, which in and of itself is a crime. So with all due respect to the reporters, I can't cross-examine anonymous sources. You can't even directly examine them. It's a lot easier to write a news piece than it is to conduct an investigation. What Congress needs is access to the witnesses, access to the documents, and to understand we don't run parallel criminal investigations. We have a job to do, but it is not to investigate crime.
Have you seen evidence that the Obama team did surveillance at Trump Tower?
No, sir.
Have you seen evidence that the Trump team colluded with the Russians during the election last year?
No, sir, and reports to the contrary have been described as demonstrably false to me by people who would know.
Jason Chaffetz, your colleague, said last hour the Obama team is notorious for this, suggesting notorious for spying. What can you add to that?
Nothing. The Obama team is no longer in charge. So any information that the current Department of Justice has that suggests the previous Department of Justice acted inappropriately, they are welcome to release it.
No one, including James Clapper, sees any type of collaboration between the Trump camp, collusion between the Trump camp and Russian intelligence.
Right.
Clapper says that yesterday. The early intelligence report yielded that, according to Marco Rubio and Senator Tom Cotton early. They just want to see what's going on, so let them see what's going on. But some people should report that the same people that say about wiretapping also see no collusion.
Yeah, well, I mean, Clapper's also the one who told Congress that, you know, the NSA was not spying on American citizens. He lied.
When they're going after Trump, or they're trying to do this, they've never quite met somebody who fights like this.
Right.
He fights harder than anybody else maybe in the country, and he'll be defensive. So he says, oh, you're coming after me? You got this intelligence bureau that seems to be turning on me? Fine, I'm going after you twice as hard. I think that President Obama, in his retirement, might be in the dust-up of his career right now, because he's never had an opponent like this. 14 Republicans couldn't handle him. Hillary Clinton couldn't handle him,
right.
And now he's trying to handle him, and he can't.
And actually, advantage by definition goes to Trump.
Sarah Huckabee, who is one of the spokespeople for the President of the United States, was on with Martha Raddatz, and Martha Raddatz was essentially defending the former president. She was skeptical of the current president. Here's a soundbite of all that.
The President of the United States is accusing the former president of wiretapping him.
I think that this is, again, something that if this happened, Martha,
If.
I agree.
Why is the president saying it did happen?
Look, I think he is going off of information that he's seen that has led him to believe that this is a very real potential. And if it is, this is the greatest overreach and the greatest abuse of power that I think we've ever seen, and a huge attack on democracy itself. And the American people have a right to know if this took place.
If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land.